So today what we are going to cover, this is where the practical kind of sessions will start. I'm not going to perform the full practical sessions with you here. I'm going to post the video on D2L, which you will be able to see, or I will give you some link to it as well, wherever the video is posted, and I will send you the link. Once you have the link, you will have to just follow those instructions the way it has been shown in the video. Because if I'm clicking here and there and I'm missing out and searching for the menus, those videos which I'm going to provide will be very precise, 2 or 3 minute video. You'll have to click here, click there, and make it and then understand full understanding of it. So if I will be clicking and typing during the session, I might make mistakes and typographical errors and whatnot. So in order to avoid that, you will see. What my question to you guys is will be, would you be able to buy Azure subscription from your credit cards? And as I said, it is a 14-day subscription that you need to buy. So if you buy it today and the course is ending on 28th, I believe it a week of course is ending on 26th. So 2 weeks from today, let's say if you buy it today, if you already bought it 2 days earlier, it will end up on 23rd. If you buy it today, it will end up 2 weeks from today, which is 25th. So it's okay that you'll buy it today. By the end, when we'll be reaching 26th, if your subscription gets over, or if you decide to cancel the subscription, we are already touching the last two or last 3 days remaining for this course. Even if you at that time you are feeling restless and you want to buy the subscription, just make a new live account or Hotmail account, cancel the previous subscription altogether, and do a subscription on a new account. But as I mentioned in a couple of classes ago, if you re-register under a new account, you will lose everything that you have under your current live account or something. And I reiterate, it is your responsibility that please cancel your subscription before it gets charged out. So do that. And there is a menu I was exploring because I have to cancel my subscription as well. And I just did a quick Google search how to cancel a Zoo subscription. It told me which menu to go to. It was a little buried under, but I was able to I was able to go there and cancel my subscription, or will be able to cancel my subscription. I will see if I'll be able to go to that menu again and I will show it to you. But from here onwards, it is kind of becoming mandatory, I would say, that if I'll give you any theoretical knowledge, that has to be now complemented with a little bit of practical, and for that you will need Microsoft Azure account. So as I am going to reiterate, Annalisa just joined. So what I'm saying is I want you guys to make Microsoft Azure account. So a quick, if you all have Microsoft account like Live or Hotmail account, I have a very old account which I'm using, but I'll say Microsoft Azure login. And then the first link that comes up is getting started with Microsoft Azure. I'm going to paste that link to you on the chat window. This is the Azure portal that you will be signing in. Let me just sign in with my account. And I will share my account services as well. Maybe I'll just log in again and show it to you. click on this link, just like you will be seeing this. I have already subscribed for it, so I'll just go sign in. And when I'll sign in, it will ask me my Hotmail account or something, a very old account. Then I'm just going to click it. Because I already purchased the subscription, it is showing me the Microsoft Azure portal. Now I think under, I will take you there where I find I already have my credit card saved somewhere at Microsoft. I'm not seeing that, but I'm going to cost management and billing. And then I think I'm just refreshing my brain because these are some menus which I haven't. Then I clicked on cost management, Kashan overview, and I think it is Azure subscription that when I will click, it opens up. This is the subscription name that it has given to me, and I can click on this Azure subscription, and I can cancel the subscription. And as you can see, out of all the services, the top free services, I haven't even purchased any of the free services anyways right now. No data to display. I haven't done anything or any purchases yet. So this is my Azure subscription. As you are seeing, I'm going to reiterate again. So as you open up your Azure portal, when you sign up with your credit card, next time you will sign in when your purchase successfully happens, then it will take you to Microsoft Azure portal. Next time you will sign in, there are some menus and whatnot. These are some of the perks that they are selling. The first one that is my favorite right now is my cost management. So I'll go to cost management. Under that, I will click cost management one more time. And in the middle of the screen on the left panel, I will see Azure subscription. And I can click on Azure subscription again, which is Azure subscription 1. This is under my name. Right now, no monthly charge incurred. And I can click cancel subscription. I haven't tried clicking it, but this is most likely it that I'm going to cancel my subscription so I can get back to. So when we start working on it, we have to just make sure that before the 14-day hit, we are canceling the subscription. So the videos I will be sharing with you here and there for doing some stuff in Azure portal might have might. I'm just assuming that they are the videos are made a little earlier in the past, so menus might change here and there a little bit. So you might have to just look for it, and if you don't find that right away, just Google it always. I find how to unsubscribe from Microsoft Azure from just typing it on a quick Google search on Google, and Google gave me that. Go there, go there, go there, and you will find it. But if you don't find it in the right menu, you can click there. Most likely canceling the subscription is in the same place. Creating the virtual machine, you are seeing the top trending ones. You are seeing Microsoft virtual machines you can create. Then you have subscription, quick start center, SQL databases. These are the ones that I was mentioning yesterday. The app services, I will give you the videos on those as we are moving along in the course. So I urge you guys to have the subscription sooner than later. Sooner than later, so we can start working on this. So for time being, I can pull this down because today we are going to start working on some of the things. The first thing that you will be working with in Azure is resources, and that's where I'm going to start preparing the lecture. There is a couple of other links I'm going to paste in the chat window, which will give you idea. Um, uh, Azure has also given us a portal called Azure latency test.com. I'm hoping I'm at the right website. Let's click it. It gives latency test as well. If I'm going to, let's say, which region I want. Looking for Canada. Yeah. It starts to give me how quickly I'm getting replies from it. So it gives me a little bit of, so one is replying from Quebec, Central East. And so this is, as you can see, this is showing me how quickly I'm getting the reply from the East server. I think there was another website. Just give me a sec. I haven't saved that in my favorites, so give me a moment. Yeah, this is the right link as well. Yes, that's what I'm saying, Annalisa, that we need to subscribe and then cancel the subscription in the timely fashion so that we don't get dinged on it. I think it is not as expensive as I'm making it. It's like 10, 12, 13, $14 if you buy a very cheapest uh, subscription from them even. But I don't want you to incur that loss even after 14-day free trial. They should have made it at least 1 month, but so that we can do something. But anyways, so this is one website that you're seeing, azurespeed.com. I don't know. I stumbled upon it after a quick Google search, but you can see Azure zones. These are availability zones. This is just I stumbled upon this website, but this is the geographical location, the region, things that we talked about yesterday. The Azure regions, the Azure availability zones. What is availability zone? We looked at that yesterday. The two data centers joined together. Remember the diagram which I was showing? And then regions. It doesn't show me the region pair. Does it show me the region pairs? I don't see there is a region. Oh, here's paired region. So paired region. These are the paired region it is showing me. It takes me a little while to read this or explore this website. This is the first time I'm seeing it. So this is the first website, a helper website, just to see how Azure is laid out. It's laid out. I don't care about ChatGPT apps, but latency test, and I can select my area and I can see some latency test. But I don't know whether this is actually from Microsoft or not. I just pasted the link anyways. This is definitely from Azure. The next link that I'm going to post, and you will see as well. So this is another link. Add this one to your favorites or something for this course. Azure speed test. website. This is the one that yeah. So this is showing me that this is the uh, ping reply that I'm getting from Azure server, and this is the fastest reply that I'm getting actually from West US server instead of Canada server. West US server is giving me faster reply than my Canada Central server, and Canada East is also giving me replies. So first, second, and third replies are actually coming better than from US than from Canada. So this is Azure speed test website, which shows me. So preferably where I should be opening up my servers, I would prefer to open it in Canada when I will be subscribing my subscription services. Yeah, yeah. I would love to have it from Canada, but I can see that US is providing me much faster service, almost better or half better than, or at least 75%, 35% better than my Canadian counterpart. But yeah, if I will be choosing, I will be choosing by Canada Central, no matter what at the moment. But it's just could be this time of the day or something. I will uh, look out for it in later. Obviously, I'm not going to Johannesburg or Northern Europe or something or anything like that in South Africa, but this is sorted by the highest ping that I'm getting, so I will stick with that. When I will subscribe, so this is a kind of a question to ask Azure when I'm buying somebody's subscription or for my business, that why Canada Central is giving me lesser ping than my US server. I don't want from US service. I want to benefit my Canadian Central Azure services, but if it is not providing me the right ping, I have no choice to subscribe with my West US. But that's a question for another day. But as you can see, this is the ping reply and the history you are seeing. So these are the two websites that I want you to have it in your notes, so that if you are working on a project, that where to buy the subscription and whatnot, you can look at it. Today we are going to look at the resources. So that will be posted after the lecture. I will be posting what are resources. For time being, I'm just going to my document. I haven't saved that even. So Microsoft Azure Resources Group and Resource Manager. So skills we will learning today, we will be learning about what is a resource, what is a resource group, Azure Resource Manager, describe benefits and using of Azure central core central architecture component, which is resource manager and resource group and whatnot. This is the cheat sheet of it as well. Some of it might be repeated, but I'm going to open up my lecture notes, which I'm going to upload anyways. So what is a resource in Azure? Resources. So when we subscribe any services from Azure, it is considered a resource. So the resource is uh, uh, is either virtual machine, a web, or SQL thing. Everything is spawned under the resource parent. So there is no silver spooning on that. I'm going to mention that when I will go to the other side, but everything has to be spawned out of the resource. This is the first thing. Objects used to manage the resource is the objects that used to manage the services in Azure, right? So we first and foremost, our first and foremost task is to create a resource. And all the resources can be contained in a resource group, which we will be seeing in a later part. So represents the service life cycle. So if this SQL database reside in the resource number 1, virtual machine resides in the resource number 2, web resides in resource number 2, let's say, for example, as well. So if I delete this resource, I'm this resource and this resource can be contained in the resource group. So let me open up my pen here. Let me take a picture here and then show it to you in so if you look at this picture, if I name this as resource 1 as R1, this is my resource number 2, R2, and this is also in under R2. So these two resources belongs to R2 group, and let's say this belongs to R1 group. So they are under this resource group 1, and this one can be named as R1 group, which only has one resource in it. But this resource that I'm going to look at, R2 group, has two resources in it, R1 and R2. So first, this R2, and R2 has two services contained in it. Which ones are those? This contains SQL in it, and this contains two services in it, the web and virtual machine. And I call this collectively, I can call this as an R2 group, but individually if I talk it, they are in the resource. So there is a difference between resource and resource group. Resource group will have resources in it. At the moment, there is only one resource belonging R2. Let's say if I make this as an R3, if this becomes R3, this will still can be put under the resource 2 group, or I can name it as main resource group or something to be comprehensive instead of saying it R2 group. Now main resource group has the R2 and R3. So we can create two different resources and then can group them in the resource group called main resource group, or we can create one individual resource with the name R1 and put it in a group which is R1 group. So this is essentially, you will see that resource group. When I will share you the video, you will know that how you will create a resource and how you will create the resource group. So that will be a practical video that you will be seeing. I will create a resource and resource group, and I think when I was looking at article, it was saying that creating a resource or resource group does not cost you anything. So hopefully that is true. I haven't built anything, or I haven't tried creating anything, because just the part of it scared that it doesn't charge me. But anyways, coming back to that, yes, you can create a resource and put the and can merge all the resources in a resource group. But the first thing, the most common component that you will be making is the resource, and then put that. So that is why it is explaining you the resource. What does resource represent? Resource represents the service lifecycle. So if you say that you don't want SQL service anymore, you will dispose resource R1, and then under that, this resource or this service can automatically dispose of. Or If you want to keep the resource alive and you want to dispose of this SQL database, yes, you can do that as well. I haven't done that, but we can try and certainly try and do that. Okay. Similar to that, if you have a resource 2, I'm going to make it resource 2. Resource 2 and resource 3 are merged in one group. Resource 2 and resource 3 are in the main group. If I dispose of this whole group, I don't need to individually go and dispose this service and dispose this service. Once I will dispose this whole group, all the resources underneath that should be deleted. Or individually, first resources have to be deleted first, and then the resource group can be deleted afterwards. So the child has to be deleted first. The parent, which is the resource group, will be deleted afterwards. So what is resources? One more piece of information. It's a JSON file. You guys are software. You guys are in a software diploma. Do you guys know anything about XML? What is XML file? What is a JSON file? There are two different files. One is a JSON file, the other one is XML file. What is XML file first? I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but going to show you that this is the typical look and feel of an XML file. So what is an XML file? It has a parent object and it has some properties associated to that object. It has an object and it has some properties associated with it. So note is the object, and what are the underlying properties underneath it? And you can see there's a little bit of a tab to make it more visible, that note has a to, a from, or a heading, and a body, just like an email. So what do you think? When you write an email will have a to section, obviously have a from section, the heading or a subject line, and the body. So this is how you are defining. It's a small database object kind of thing where you are mentioning the properties. In general terms, we call it as an extensible markup language, and it was designed to store and transport the data. Part of it problem, what I think, is it is not encrypted at the moment. Part of the challenge is to encrypt this file as well. Other type of example is you have a food, name of the food, the price of the food, the description. But most importantly, you are seeing here that every tag that you are seeing has a closing tag as well. What do you mean by that? So if it has the food has the attributes, the properties, the name of the food, you provide the name with the opening tag and you close it with the closing tag. Yes, your opening tag, your closing tag. So it is very well formed language. So if you have an opening tag, and with any other language as well, if you have an opening tag, if you have an opening bracket, you have to have a closing bracket, because your program does not get compiled if you don't provide the proper opening and closing parentheses. Same thing, you need to have an opening tag and you need to have a closing tag. So if you put a opening tag for food, the underlying properties of the food has to be described first, and then the food tag has to be closed. But not necessarily that. Sometimes it could be an optional that you don't know the calories of the food, right? or there will be some properties that you don't know. So this can be left out, but this doesn't stop you to create an object food with the name Belgian waffles. Calories, you can go back and later and edit that in this XML file later on, but some properties could be left optional and some could be mandatory. This is a very well formed language. They are not missing out on any of the property, and I'm not going too deep inside it, but this is the general format of XML. Now if I'll take you to JSON, a very similar idea. It is called JavaScript object notation, and how we have some JSON syntax or something, we can look into it. And there is, as soon as you see, as soon as I will start learning JSON, I have a comparative study on the very third point at W3 Schools, where I can say, and this is the Bible website for website development. So if you need anything, or if you want to learn SQL or HTML or any programming language, it is what you see and what you get, kind of a website where you can just try it out as well. But coming back to that it is showing you different syntax is different, ideology is almost the same. So if you want to create a person, over there we were creating food, over here we are trying to create a person, and person will have these properties. Bracket open, name is equals to John, age is equals to 31, city is equals to New York. Very similar idea. We haven't seen a bigger example of it, but if you'll see the bigger example of it, you might say that, yeah, this looks very similar. But let's see if I can see a bigger example of it. There's not a big example here. There you go. Let's see if I open up this. Very similar idea like XML. You have the ID, you have the proper, this is the ID and this is the attribute value, or this is the property of property value, property value, property value. Just like in XML we had property or attribute and its value, property, attributes and its value. So this is one object. From here to here, this bracket, this is one object, and everything is enclosed under the square bracket. I can click on any other name. So employee detail object that you are creating, there are two employees. First employee is this, first employee's attribute are this, employee name, email address, and the job profile. The second employee is this guy, and that's his email address and that's his profile. So just an idea of how they are. So if I come back to it, and I'm not going to describe what is JSON, but now you have a little bit of idea that every resource that you create has some attributes and property. What are those attributes and properties? So let's say if you are creating the storage account, right now it is not mentioned here, but if you are creating a storage account, Microsoft will bill accordingly because it has all the attributes that you add. So if you are adding a flavor to, or if you are adding a component, if you are adding a service, what attributes are you are acquiring for that service? Let's say you are creating a virtual machine online. Your attributes will be RAM, your hard drive space, your the two major ones are your, what is the name of that virtual machine, right? What is the location of that virtual machine? So those are the attributes that are related to that virtual machine. So based on that, Microsoft will parse that file every month, compare your current file with your next file, and see if you have upgraded or you have upscaled it or downscaled it. If you have downscaled it, you will be charged less. If you have upscaled it, you will be charged more. Kind of an idea. So it's a saved JSON definition file that they work with. So there is no silver spooning in how the resource groups are created. So I'm going to the resource group after this slide. But this basically resources contains the summary of everything for a service that you are buying, because everybody will be buying different services from Azure. Some might have more flavor, more juice, and more power attached to it, more RAM, more hard drive, and some will have less. So everybody in their profile will have a JSON file, and based on that you will be built, because that contains not only the attributes that you will be using, but it will contain the information that Microsoft will have. Based on that, they will be billing you, right? The underlying fact. So if you are creating the resource group, you can create the resource group. So let's say if you have you have one resource, you have multiple resources, resource 1, resource 2, resource 3, resource 4, or maybe you can say this one will belong to resource. So I will just take a screenshot one more time and say this just to explain. So there is organization of these resources can be happened by different ways. First thing, it could be by type. So the type of the elements that you are using here, it will be SQL elements that you are using, right? First of all, when you are going to create SQL, any SQL that you are going to create, or any web that you are going to create later on, will go into the resource group. It will go into the resource first. That's the first thing that we learned. So any service will go into the resource. So let's say this goes to, I'm going to type it again kind of thing, but resource 1, right? This is again in the resource 1. But these two guys, I'm just going to shorthand here, and they are going in the, and they are going into the resource number 2. Resource number 2. All these two different resources, obviously R1 and R1 are similar, and R2 is another one. All these two different unique ones can be mingled together and will be put under in this resource group called SQL resource group. Underlying fact is that this SQL belongs to R1, this SQL also belongs to R1, these two SQL belongs to R2, but you can put all of them into one resource group called SQL resource group. Similar to that idea, I'm not going to copy and paste these things, but if you have the similar idea here, if I'm going to do that, selection is not happening. Okay. Sorry, I'm not fast enough on this. So I lost it. One last time, I'll try it if I can make it. Yeah, so here is this resource group, almost there. But for this resource group, you can put under web resource group. So you can create the resource group. So you might have an idea now that yes, I can create this. So this is the you can name it as R3, R3, and R4, and they can go in the web resource group. So we will be creating resources and resource group. So this theory part that you're looking might turn into the practical side. So I'm going to share with you guys the video as well, and also on the will be uploaded onto the D12. So as I was mentioning, there is no silver spooning to it. You can arrange them by the type, which I just showed you in the previous picture screenshot when I was explaining you. So all the types of SQL are put under one resource group. All the type of web that you are hosting can be put under web resource group, or the one that is being used more often, this kind of architecture is more viable, that you put all the developers resource group into developers resource group called dev-rg. So all of these R1, R1, R2, and R2 can go into the developer resource group, and these R3, and R4 and R4 can go into the production resource group. And this kind of ideology is more suited because if you have a development environment where they are developing, all the resources belongs to the development group will be isolated under the developers resource group. Everything that is under production resource group will belong to production resource group. And the good thing is that if you are touching and working on the developers resource group, you are not touching the live environments that are under production resource group, because you are not in any way maybe not granted the permission to even access the production resource group, because you are only the developer. Only certain implementers of the softwares will have access to the production resource group. So when your system is getting upgraded, only when those guys will be called, and they will take your development or your tested data and push it to the production environment. And it's a very big deal, because you don't want to be pushing anything that is not fully tested, and you push it to the production environment. We cannot have such attitude that, okay, yeah, just go ahead and push this to the production environment. We cannot have yeah attitude. It has to be fully tested before we push it to the production environment, because if it is not fully tested and the error comes after the fact, or issues come after the fact, it will be too late to go back, right? So you may lose some transaction. And that's why Azure is promising the high availability. That is one thing. But because you made a mistake at your end, in your infrastructure or in your platform, Azure is not responsible if you accidentally delete, or if you accidentally export and import something from the development environment to the production environment. They can help you restore, but you have to open up the ticket, and their team will work on it. And when they will bring it back, it will be back in time, kind of, not the not in the not the exact current time. So you might lose some amount of data between the downtime to the uptime. So the resource, then we have a resource groups. My mouse is kind of so what are resource group? Each resource must be, so it is talking about not resources, not resource group, but it is talking about each resource must be in one and only one resource group. Resource group have their own location assigned. Resources in the resource group can reside in a different location, meaning that one could be in US, one could be in Canada, and resources can be moved between the resource group. So that is one good thing. So let's say if you have something tested here, the web is tested under and fully functional under the development resource group, we can just simply get rid of this old website and move it from this resource group to the production resource group, and it will start working as it is operational in the live. So that will be a cutoff date when you will decide that you are going to move your website into the into the, and then resource group cannot be nested. So it means you cannot create the resource group hierarchy, meaning that you cannot create that resource group 1 will merge with resource group 2. No, you cannot merge like that. Only the resources can be moved around. So it can be that one, you can simply move or copy resources between the resource group. The benefit of it that it provides is that it provides you based on your organization, but consider good consideration for how much you are spending on the development environments that you purchased from Microsoft, how much you are spending on production environment. So it all depends upon the traffic. So if a lot of traffic is coming to your website and storing and creating new accounts on your website, your SQL database is used more, so that can take a billing hit, but that's okay. The more the customers you are getting, if you are getting a higher bill on SQL, you won't mind. But believe me, it is depending upon the traffic that you have versus the billing that you get at the end of the month is peanuts in that terms, if you call it. And security and access management, as we saw that in the previous slides. I might have to change my mouse, but uh, these are isolated resource group. So you cannot mingle development with production or production with there. Only when you have a cutoff, you will move the website to the production. So this is the introduction to resources and resource group. Let me take you to the Microsoft Word document that I was showing you earlier, which I haven't saved yet. But if you read it now, we have covered what are resources, resource group. Let's keep it for that for now. Azure Resource Manager, we can look into it afterwards, and Azure Resources. So resource group, Resource Manager. Additional information is available for you. I'd suggest that you will take the practice test also when I don't think so. I will put this in a practice test for you when you will do that. So don't do that right now. I will probably use that for the quiz. So you don't have to worry about that. So if you want to learn more about resources, resource group, you will find all this information there and expand your knowledge on extra resources. I think this is the resource.azure.com where you can add additional. So this covers my chapter 8. Let me show you and actually share with you the video as well. I'm not sure whether I can attach it here.